Welcome to the First and 30 podcast. Here are your hosts, Nick Ocasio and Antonino DeSandro.
Welcome to the First and 30 podcast. This is episode 73. Antonino, why don't you tell the chairman what we are all about over here?
We are two 30-something-year-old guys giving you 4 take your medicine downs in 30 therapeutic minutes of NFL football insight to get you through your work week.
That's right. And for those of you who tuned in last week, there's 2 things to note. One, Antonino and I had a little side wager because we went head-to-head in our fantasy football matchup in the Naptown Dirty Dozen League this week, and we have a winner, and there was a loser. But stick around for third down because the loser is going to have their little recital, self-proclamation, owing it to the winner. We're not going to give any tips on who won and who lost. But secondly, Antonino, I couldn't help but notice when I was listening to our episode last week, it sounded like there were some ghosts or demons coming out of the audio of our recording.
We did. We had some echoes going on. We had some demons in one of our places, probably yours. Just going to throw it out there. But yeah, I don't know what it was. I think the AI robots were doing too much with the software we use. I could have had your voice turned too high on my headphones. You know, the voice of radio. I just like your voice so much. It was too loud. Whatever it was, we're figuring this thing out.
We are. So for context, we've shifted our software. I mean, it's my fault. I did this trial software. We were right around this time where we were going to be shifting anyway, and the trial software date expired, and they charged us for the entire thing, and we couldn't go back on it. So we're stuck, but we're making it work, man.
You better believe it.
It's been a challenge, but we're making it work. You know what, though? This hasn't been the only challenge. There have been some teams facing some pretty big challenges. So for first down, Antonino, and how I would like to kick off this episode, there was a Baltimore breakdown and a Cardinals collapse. I love the play on words here. So let's cover the Ravens and their recent loss to the Houston Texans. And then near the end of this down, let's also talk about the bizarre way that the Arizona Cardinals lost to the Tennessee Titans. So go ahead. You have the honors. Bash those Ravens.
I see, that's what you would think I would do here, but it's just so strange to me. It's just so strange to me because the Baltimore Ravens, when they play at home in Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium, that defense is typically fierce. And going up against an offense like the Texans that was struggling, I just thought for sure the home crowd, the momentum, whatever it is, would just find a way. And they came out there and laid a fat egg in front of all their fans. The stadium was half empty right after halftime. Pathetic.
Yes, the defense has been pathetic. The Ravens have now allowed 35 or more points in 4 games. Most such games in season for team history already. That's the most they've ever given up. They've also become the first team in the Super Bowl era to allow 37 plus points in 4 of their first 5 games. So the Ravens are giving up an alarming amount of points at a historic level at this moment.
They made a struggling C.J. Stroud look like an MVP caliber quarterback. They put up over 40 points. How does this happen? And do the Ravens now start to rebuild? Do they tear it down? Do they sell? Do they trade away some of their capital, some of their big contracts? Andrews at tight end, Derrick Henry. What do they do now? Where do they go from here? I don't know.
Well, let's put this into context too. Baltimore was missing Lamar Jackson this week, Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, and others that were inactive. These are all huge names and key parts of this Baltimore team. So they were without these guys, and that obviously showed. But right now, the Ravens rank as the worst team in the NFL with points allowed, with 35.4 a game. So that's bottom total defense too. Their margin of negative 34 points in this game ties a Ravens' worst home loss in franchise history as well. But all this to say, things are bad with Baltimore, but they still have the pieces if they can get healthy. 1-4 is going to be really hard to come back from, but I don't think we're at that point yet where it's like we're scrapping it. I know the Ravens fans are probably done with Harbaugh. They've been waiting for him to go for like a decade now, it seems.
Yep. I never count them out. As long as Lamar Jackson plays, and you're going to play the Steelers a couple times a year, you're only 2 games back. There's still a long way to go. Lamar can change the fate of that team if he doesn't miss any more time.
And I think it's helpful to put it into context. This is the AFC North. This is perhaps right now one of the worst divisions in the NFL. You got the 2 Cleveland teams that are awful with the Bengals and the Browns. Subtle jab there to you, Antonino. Baltimore's not doing well, but Pittsburgh, they seem to be the most formidable team, but, they have an old Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. They have their cracks too. The offensive line isn't that great in Pittsburgh. Defense is looking a little bit better. So I think Baltimore still has a chance. They can win a few of these divisional games coming up. And if they can get healthy on the right side of things on the second half of the season, anything can happen. Even though they're pacing to break a record in allowing 602 points in a season. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because if that does, they probably will not be making the playoffs.
Hey, music to my ears.
Of course. What about on the other side of the coin, man? The Cardinals collapsed. They were up 21-3 against the Tennessee Titans late in this game. And for whatever reason, they just kind of let the pedal off the metal. They decided, let's just continue to run the ball with our practice squad running back from a week ago, Michael Carter, and trust in him to get us this victory. Whereas most good teams, if they have a 21-3 lead, let's just keep applying the pressure, right? Let's score more points. But it was like the Cardinals had this philosophy like, 21's good enough. Let's just stop.
I don't know. There's probably 95% of the country was not watching this game. By all means, Cardinals, not exactly a draw with the, at the time, winless Titans, but they were up 21-3. Their running back goes for like an 80-yard run. Touchdown, right? No, he does the typical bonehead thing when they reach the ball out and let go right before they cross the goal line. He thought he scored.
How?
They keep doing this.
How do you not get cut immediately after the game? This has happened so – it's like every week a guy does this on a team where they just –
so frustrating.
If you didn't watch the play, Amari DiMercato, he's their third down back. He busts one right before he gets to the end zone. He just drops the ball at like the 1-inch line. Like, just hold the ball. Hold it until you get past the end zone.
The coach of their team felt the same way as us on the sideline. He gave him a little slap in the chest and gave him a yelling to. The coach got fined $100,000 for that. Slapped him like right in the chest. Gannon, yep.
He beat up his guy. And then like backpedaled in the post game interview saying like, we still believe in him. Like I shouldn't have done that. Blah blah blah. It's like, what kind of punishment angle are we going here with this?
Yeah. So like we were saying, 21-3. That could have been 28-3. Okay, fine. 21-3. The stars had to align for the Tennessee Titans. There was a play where there was an interception thrown. Cardinals got the interception. The cornerback then fumbles the ball 2-3 times, ends up in the end zone. The Titans recover that loose fumble. Like that's what I call Madden BS in short, is what I always used to call it.
Well, that wasn't the only play too. If the Cardinals were also driving on one possession, they had it within the red zone, and I think it was a third down play. The center snaps the ball right into Kyler Murray's face. Like he wasn't expecting it at all. Smacks him in the face. The Titans recover it. I think they go down and score a touchdown on that possession. And then Kyler Murray leaves the game because of an injury related to the play, which I thought, did this guy just get a concussion from getting smacked in the face with a football? It was, and I think it's something with his foot or his ankle, but still, 3 crazy plays. The fumble that goes into the pick fumble that goes in the end zone, the DiMercato fumble before the passing the goal line, and then Kyler Murray taking a ball to the face. Crazy stuff.
The stars had to align, and they did. And congrats to Cam Ward, his first NFL win. And I don't even think he threw a touchdown. He had a pretty bad day otherwise. No,
it wasn't great. But that wasn't the only team that had the stars aligned for them. How about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Let's move into second down here and then cover these cardiac cats. Jacksonville survived a thriller to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the final seconds of their game Monday night. What are our reactions to this? Because now the Jaguars are 4-1. This is their best start since 2007. Their first 4-1 start since 2007. their first win over the Chiefs since 2009. The Chiefs fall to 2-3. So what does this mean to us and the rest of the NFL and the AFC in particular?
I think we have to give credit where credit's due. Jacksonville Jaguars, new coach, new system, new staff, everything's brand new. They took a chance on Travis Hunter, and here they are, 4-1 after a primetime win on the Chiefs, where the whole stinking time I was like, this is the Chiefs. They're up 14-zip. This is the Chiefs. This is their get-right game. This is going to be on their way to being above 500 again. Whatever it takes, the Chiefs are going to figure it out. And they just seem to keep choking the game away. My favorite play in which they choked it away, I think you saw the interception, return for a touchdown, linebacker like jukes out Mahomes. Mahomes falls on his face.
99-yard pick six. That swung the momentum completely because at that point, the game was 14-7. It was getting close to half, I believe. Kansas City was just about to go up, and it looked like perhaps run away with this. Mm-hmm. That pick six just changed the entire complexion of this game, gave Jacksonville new life, because on the other end of it, the Jaguars were trying to convert on a 4th and 1 at the 1 yard line and fumbled it themselves. So it was just a completely topsy-turvy switch of momentum. The Chiefs, honestly, though, when you look at this game a little bit closer, they really beat themselves. And this looks like a very undisciplined team. 13 penalties for 109 yards. Just undisciplined plays and critical moments. You go ahead and look at Chris Jones and what he did, too, at the end of the play of the game with Trevor Lawrence just sneaking it in, did you see how this game ended? Trevor Lawrence gets stepped on, he's tumbling, then tumbles on himself. Meanwhile, Chris Jones is just standing there, thinking the play is over, doing nothing, and then Lawrence runs it in. So it's just craziness.
You hate to think about it, the Chiefs might have lost this game more than the Jacksonville Jaguars won this game. It's just the pick six, the penalties, shooting themselves in the foot nonstop. Happy for the Jags, but man, the Chiefs, and like we saw with the Cardinals, and like we're seeing with Baltimore, they're just taking their medicine.
Well, this is the worst start in the Patrick Mahomes era for Kansas City. 2-3, worst start. And the big difference, last year when we were looking at the Chiefs, we were like, man, this team does not feel that good. They won 13 games by 1 score or less. They were 13-0 on 1 score or less games. This season so far, their luck has seemed to run out because they are now 0-3 on 1 score or less games. So it's like you knew they were playing with fire last year. You knew that they weren't that good because they were keeping these games close. And this year, it seems like maybe it's a Super Bowl hangover, Super Bowl lag, something of that nature, but they're not executing at the same rate. You have an aging roster, too, with Kelsey just not looking like himself. Mahomes is doing a lot of great things, but the Chiefs in general, I think, just a little disappointing.
But don't look now. The Chiefs, they play the Detroit Lions this coming week. How far will they dig that hole in an AFC where it's clearly wide open right now? The AFC race is wide open. They play the Detroit Lions at home, and then Jacksonville plays the Seattle Seahawks at home. So can these teams either, for example, are the Chiefs going to dig that hole? Is Jacksonville going to keep this up and really be a threat in the AFC? I don't know, but they both got some tough challenges ahead.
That they do. And there's another tough challenge ahead for one of us here after our half-minute halftime. So with that, Antonino, let's head into the locker room. Let's take our little break, and then we're going to get out of the half-minute halftime and confront reckoning.
All right, folks, if you want to see a grown man cry, subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you may listen or watch, because on third down, that's what you're going to have. There you have it.
That's right. Comment, share with your other football-loving brethren, too, if you're enjoying the show. We certainly appreciate the camaraderie. All right, Antonino, we're out of the half-minute halftime. It is that time. It is third and long, and this down in particular is going to be fantasy football focused. We're going to do some buy low, sell high candidates. But before we do that, we had our matchup, our head-to-head matchup. There was a lot of trash talk going into the week, but only one of us could survive the winner. And with a final score of 133 to 131, a very close game, none other than your Arctic Foxes, Nick Ocasio, myself, came out victorious over you and your Cincy jungle. So go ahead, lay it on me. Let's hear what you have prepared for us.
I will read this 30 seconds of shame as promised. I, Cincy Jungle, the commissioner, made a hasty mistake by challenging my league commissioner, Nick Ocasio, and a verbal assault before our fantasy football matchup. This was done in haste, and I deeply regret my transgressions, as it quickly became evident that my subpar managerial skills were no match for a true fantasy legend. Although Christian McCaffrey gave me early hope, the likes of Josh Allen, Kyron Williams, and Jahmyr Gibbs proved far too much for my ragtag squad of scrubs. I hereby solemnly apologize and bow before my champion, humbly requesting forgiveness for my delusional confidence leading up to our matchup.
Oh, fantastic, Anthony. That was great. I loved that. You are forgiven for your delusional confidence and haste. How did this all go for you, man? What went wrong? Give the chain movement the recap. What went wrong?
First of all, I'm a man of my word, so I put myself through all of that. Second of all, let's get down to brass tacks here, folks. I lost this game because of one reason and one reason only, and that's because I used Baltimore Ravens team defense. Why would I ever do such a thing that has anything to do with anything that has to do with the Baltimore Ravens? I stashed their defense for 2 weeks just for this matchup against the putrid offense of the Texans. They got me -2 points, and to put a cherry on top of all this, I had the Colts kicker who got 2 points and then got injured when the Colts were on their way to a 40-point game. And I lost by 2 points. There you have it.
That's right. And the irony to all this, and we haven't had the opportunity to really, have this moment to talk about this in person. But the irony in all this for the chain movement is that during the summer, me as the commissioner trying to keep things fun and re-engaging the league proposed a simple rule change of maybe let's get rid of the kicker and the defense and do a super flex league, something of that nature. And yours truly, Antonino, was the most outspoken proponent against such change, which is fine. This is a democratic process. I'm fine with that. But then he adds insult to injury with this long, elaborate text, just smearing all of those that voted against this rule. And look at what happened. Antonino lost his fantasy matchup because of poor play from a kicker and a defense. I love it.
Consistency will prevail. Don't you worry. There's a long way to go. You had me say the word champion in here, none of which the Arctic Foxes have any familiarity with, but we have a long way to go. And I do plan on being the capital C champion of this fantasy league. Put your money on that. Take it to the bank.
You're 2-3, just like your Bengals and like them Chiefs we just talked about, none of which we're speaking too positively on. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I won because Brenton Strange got me that one catch too, and then exited the game because I was trailing to you by a point.
That's right.
Brenton Strange got the catch. He gets injured, leaves the game, but I still win by 2. All right. We're done with this. This matchup is now in the past, Antonino. I appreciate you sticking to your word and reading that rather humiliating script that I prepared. Okay, so for fantasy, I wanted to focus on a few sell high, buy low candidates just to give the chain movement fantasy community. You might have a few hidden gems too that you're looking at. Would you want to kick this off with any hidden gems that you're kind of targeting right now or looking into?
I mean, I already talked about my man crush Jackson Dart. For the past couple of weeks, I've been tooting that horn. He has over 20 points in both of his games. Something to keep an eye on. He does have a couple tests coming up with Philadelphia twice in the next 3 weeks and Denver. But Jackson Dart scoring points. Hidden gem.
Okay. I have a few sell or buy low candidates that we can touch on first. And by buy low, I mean expectations were high coming into the season. Maybe these players aren't living up to those expectations, and these fantasy managers are starting to lose their patience. So I'm thinking of A.J. Brown. Here's a guy that was going around the second round pick type of dude. Eagles offense has been anemic at times. They're not efficient with the running game. They haven't been consistent with the passing game, but there's a lot of loud voices in that locker room demanding for the ball, A.J. Brown being the biggest one of them. I think the Eagles are going to find a way to start feeding him the ball and making sure everyone's happy because at the end of it, that's going to be a big part of their success, making sure that all these guys are getting involved. So try to get A.J. Brown if you can while the price tag is at the lowest it will ever be.
Price tag being low, I'm thinking of a running back who went off for over 200 yards, and you might be able to find this guy on the waiver wire. Rico Dowdle, running back for the Panthers. He's owned in less than half of fantasy leagues. 23 carries, 206 yards, went off. Maybe you can find him and pick him up.
I would say if you do already have Rico Dowdle, sell high right now. Chuba Hubbard will be involved in this offense regardless. You might get one more solid week from Rico, but target your fantasy mates that are really struggling, needing a running back. If you're sitting pretty at the top of your league and you have some depth, try to flip Rico Dowdle for something with a little bit more long-term upside. And I'm thinking the same thing with Michael Carter, Rashad White. These are all backup running backs that are being thrust into starting positions for a short-term period in replacement of the full-time duty starter. But you have to think big picture, long-term. How am I going to win a championship? These guys might help me win a week, but if you're trying to think like, I want to be a champion, you have to start looking at dudes that have consistent output for the entire season. So I'd say sell these guys high if you can.
All right, so I need some advice. I got one more before we move on to fourth down. There's a guy, so much debate. They picked him with the first pick of the whole draft, Jamar Chase. I've been telling everyone, hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. Had a couple bad games, but managed to get 2 touchdowns last week. His stat line looked good. The points look good. What would you do? I say keep him. What do you think people should do with Jamar Chase?
If I had him on my team right now, he's getting off of a 30-point performance where he scored 2 big touchdowns in garbage time. That's what you get with Jamar Chase. He's a great player. He has the opportunity to make big plays. But the difference between having a Jake Browning / Joe Flacco-led offense versus a Joe Burrow-led offense is just the consistency and output. You're not going to see these kinds of games consistently week over week, whereas with Burrow, you're anticipating 20-plus points a week. It's very possible that next week, Jamar Chase puts up like 5 points against the Green Bay Packers and that he's phased out of the game completely. I say smash that sell high button right now while you can. Get as much as you can for this dude. Man. The name alone will garner enough value. But if you were on my team and I'm sitting there in your position, Antonino, 2 and 3, I'm thinking maybe I can get a solid RB2 and maybe another wide receiver 2. I need more depth pieces. This one guy is not going to save your season. Sell high while you can.
Man, Arctic Foxes with some ice cold takes. Boys and girls, Jamar Chase, he's got that big arm Flacco throwing him the ball now, so you can have a big aerial display coming up. So hang on, folks.
I don't know if you've been looking at the same Joe Flacco I've been looking at this season, but he didn't quite demonstrate that in Cleveland. We'll see.
Enough.
All right, Antonino, that's enough for our fantasy down. Let's head into fourth down, our fourth and final down. And money matters. Sports betting down. This is your wheelhouse. We just covered my wheelhouse with fantasy, but we're bringing back the Oddsfather. It's been a while since we've talked to the Oddsfather, DeSandro, so lay it on us.
That's right. But I'm back in full force. I learned my lesson from last year. You don't bet on football for the first 5 weeks of the season. It's a lot of turbulence. Everyone's trying to figure it out. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions. So I have not been betting as much as I usually done the first month of the season. But here we are. I have people crying to me about their parlays going up in flames, how they're losing money. Well, I'm here to help. Let's turn this thing around and let's get 3 solid bets. What do you say, Nick?
We're bringing back the 3 bets. I love it. I mean, we used to do this a lot last season. We used to do the fantasy. So lay it on me, man. I hope you have something for my Cowboys too. I hope you're like kind of focusing in on these teams. But what are your 3? Give me one at least first.
And I have to, I got to toot my own horn a little bit. My record was pretty good last year. We were keeping track of the record. It was pretty top notch.
Nice.
Here we go. Let's start off with Thursday night football action. The degenerate likes me needs some action on Thursday night to get the juices flowing, get the blood pumping a little bit. We have the Eagles and Giants in New York. Folks, the over-under is 40.5. Very low. Yes, Jackson Dart. People aren't sure. That's why it's a little lower. The Eagles, like you previously mentioned, offense not that great. Throw it all out the window. There's a division matchup. They know each other really well. It's in New York. I think the Giants will be able to move the ball with Jackson Dart. Both quarterbacks will get a touchdown. The score will be in the 20s. Both teams will get in the 20s. Smash the over 40.5 Giants-Eagles Thursday night.
Okay. That one I would be a little hesitant on because of some of the things that you just said too. A divisional game. They know each other well. Both teams have great pass rushes and great defensive lines, which we could probably anticipate with these slower offenses slowing things down. But I see where you're going with this, like with A.J. Brown. Maybe he goes off. We see a few big splash plays. All right. So smash the over on the Eagles-Giants. What else do you have?
You mentioned the Cowboys. This looked like the easiest one of the whole week. I hope this isn't just like a mousetrap here, but the Cowboys are favored by 3 in Carolina against the Panthers. We all know the Cowboys can score. And I think it comes down to, I think they can put up enough points to the point where the Panthers can't keep up. Yes, Cowboys might have that leaky defense, but I just don't think the Panthers have enough weapons to put up a 25-plus point game. So by default, I'm taking the Cowboys. I think they put up 28 and cover the 3 points because I just don't see the Panthers score more than like 20.
Okay. I like hearing that, Antonino. That's music to my ears as a Cowboy fan. Let's go. So we're picking Dallas -3 over Carolina in Carolina. Not anticipating a Rico Dowdle revenge game. All right, give me your last pick here. What's our last one?
Typically, I stay away from divisional games. I went with the Eagles-Giants. Unique circumstances. I'm going with the Steelers-Browns game right here because the Browns will be starting Dylan Gabriel, his second start of his career. Steelers are at home. This is going to be a welcome to the moment for Dylan Gabriel. Welcome to the NFL moment here. And he's going to crash and burn so hard in this game. Steelers are favored by 5 at home against a kid who's about to start his second game. This could get ugly really fast. Take the Steelers, 5 points.
Okay. I mean, he fared pretty well against a vaunted Minnesota defense. Everybody regards Flores, the defensive coordinator over there, highly regarded. But we're thinking Pittsburgh is a different animal, that they're going to cause a lot of issues. It's a divisional game too, which the Browns and Steelers though usually play these games kind of close. So you're thinking that this is going to be a cakewalk though for the Steelers defense.
In Pittsburgh, I don't think DG can keep up with the crowd noise, being outdoors. I don't think this is going to work out well for him. I think it might be a blowout.
Well, I see a theme here too, Antonino. I'm a little surprised by this. You have 2 divisional games that you're wagering on. Does this kind of go against your own philosophy when it comes to betting?
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%. That's what I mentioned before. 100%. Yeah. But in these circumstances, I think the 40.5 in the Giants game, they're undervaluing Jackson Dart. So right now I'm betting on the rookie quarterbacks, betting for Jackson Dart to overachieve, and I'm betting on Dylan Gabriel to underachieve. So I'm putting my money for and against rookie quarterbacks that are vulnerable.
But we should put an asterisk here real quick for this Giants one, because there's a bias. You are a big Jackson Dart fanboy. He struggled against the Saints. He threw 2 interceptions against the Saints. They lost that game. So you're anticipating a bounce back against a much better defense.
Yep, a bounce back. But mind you, this is the over. So the Eagles could come out and score 30.
That's true.
And, the Giants just put up 13 spots. So between the two of them, I think 40.5 will be eclipsed.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, there you have it. Hopefully that gets the chain movement a few more dollars lined up in their pocket there, thanks to the Oddsfather DeSandro coming back here to the 1st and 30 crew. All right. That's my worst impression of Joe Pescian, a Godfather type of deal.
I like it.
All right, man. With that, let's hop into our 2-minute drill and cover some news.
Speaking of Joe is back. And not Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco. In a trade with Cincinnati, they did a pick swap. No skin off the Bengals' back. They pick up Joe Flacco. He'll start against the Packers this week.
Former Bengal Jermaine Pratt, who was recently released by the Las Vegas Raiders, just signed just 2 days later with the Indianapolis Colts.
Don't look now. Jamar Chase has more solo tackles this year with 5 than Micah Parsons with 4.
I don't know which part of that stat is more pathetic, that Chase is having to make a bunch of tackles or that Micah Parsons isn't on the field as much. All right, free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has accepted a 6-game performance enhancement drug suspension, so PEDs from the NFL. That's probably going to damper his comeback chances.
The Titans have released former first-round pick Treylon Burks off IR. He has received a medical clearance and will look to get a fresh start somewhere else.
And Jerry Jones was fined $250,000 for flashing the bird gesture to some Jets fans or Cowboys fans. His story is all out of whack. Who knows what he was doing? I think he was confused by it all. But anyway, he's fined.
Ravens traded defensive end Adafe Owe, hopefully I'm saying that right, and a 7th-round pick to the Chargers for safety Alohi Gilman and a 5th-round pick.
Oh, okay. So the Browns have begun their stadium project by officially breaking ground on a $3.4 billion new stadium planned to open by 2029 that just occurred here today.
Spencer Rattler became the first quarterback drafted by the Saints to win a game since 1998.
What? That's crazy. That's an awesome stat. Chris Jones, who we mentioned earlier for the Kansas City Chiefs, apparently deactivated all of his social media, so his Twitter and Instagram, after some of those costly errors that cost them that game against Jacksonville. I guess he just doesn't want to hear the heat anymore.
Former quarterback Mark Sanchez is feeling the heat after he was involved in an altercation where he confronted a truck driver and would get stabbed. He went to the hospital. Comes to find out he started the fight and he got arrested. Mark Sanchez, what are we doing?
So Colts kicker Spencer Schrader, the guy that you started against me in fantasy, who left that game injured, he suffered a season-ending knee injury. The Colts went ahead and signed Michael Bagley. He's available in our league, Antonino, so you can go pick him up. Test your luck there.
Former Ravens Super Bowl winner and Colts defensive end Arthur Jones has passed away at the age of 39.
It's very sad. And more Ravens news, they signed safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson to their practice squad, hoping to help some of those injuries.
Last but not least, the Browns have an injury to their heart because now they have 8 total quarterback cap hits for the year 2025 as the never-ending cycle for a quarterback continues.
What a feat for them. That's just, you have to try to be that dismal, I think.
That's sad, but it sounds like a lot of teams and a lot of people, such as myself, took their medicine today, but things will get better. And you know the drill, folks. We'll see you on the next one. The next one is the best one.
That's right. Thanks for joining us for another episode of First and 30. Until next time, remember, when your number's called, no matter the odds,
let's go for it.